Okay, going from one sweet thing to another. Come on up, Will Goldfarb. So the question is, how did an El Bulli trained chef from New York find himself making churros in Ubud? Will traded the grid of Manhattan for the rice terraces of Bali and opened Room for Dessert, a restaurant in Bali well known for its amazing desserts. This is true. Tonight, will share why fucking up is also one of his oft-repeated specialties. Will.
Thank you. Where should I be? This side?
In the middle.
Or just in the middle, yeah.
I'm
As
analog.
far away from the speakers as you can. Yeah.
Okay, how about here? Am I blocking the screen then?
Yes.
I think you're okay if you go forward a bit.
It's okay. I'm analog. This is just paper that I have here. There's no electronics.
No switching. Okay, well,
Yeah, no, I can click, I think, but I can't really see the screen from here.
just look
So yeah, this is, well, thanks, Steve. Can you guys hear me in the back? Yeah. All right. Wait, louder. Wow, that sounds really loud up here. Okay, how about now? All right. Well, thanks to Steve and Ubud for welcoming me here tonight. It's been an amazing 3 years in Ubud, about 7 years in Bali. And I like to think of myself as maintaining a string of fuck-ups from the last 10 to 20 years. So we'll talk about one tonight, which is unbelievably insignificant. Nothing bad happened. I was just making dessert on Saturday in New Zealand for a charity event, and the dessert didn't come out the way I liked it, but I really beat myself up over it, and I extracted a lot of very valuable life lessons, which I'd like to share with you. So literally nothing bad happened, like this weekend. All of this bad things have already happened, so I'm reduced to like the plating didn't go the way I wanted, and that ruined my day. Let me see if I can get there. So, I'd like to say, how do I get to slide 1?
left side.
Jesus, it's Canadian.
You're outnumbered here.
Canadian.
No joke, anyone?
Bring it on. 9%, baby. He's almost done.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mona. Okay, here we go.
We're going the right way? It's the one on the right side.
But yeah, no, it's good that I've never, I just learned what the word unicorn actually meant about an hour ago, so I've never been able to fail as big as Patricia, and I wrapped up my cancer really, really quickly, so I didn't have the 8 years of solitude that Mona did, but I'm sure, unfortunately, I don't have to run this restaurant like Duncan, so I'm just here pretty much on holiday, actually, when I should be at work. I haven't set the timer yet on my phone. You can see my notes are spilling all over the place, which is due to the fact that I didn't prepare this speech until this morning after taking my wife to the airport at 4 o'clock. I suffered a moment of clarity. So the name of the dessert actually is Whiskey, Torture, and Turgenev, and it's just a small plug here. It is on the menu at Room for Dessert, which is at just next to Nuri's. And you would have thought this, I also very carefully brought my apron, even though I'm obviously not in the kitchen, but this is sort of my, I don't know if it's a security blanket or a shield, or combination. I can't think of what the mashup of security blanket and shield is, but someone with the cool icons, I'm sure, can figure it out for me. I did have a great run in New York of about 10 years where I got to fuck up in public, which was really nice, because if you fuck up and then you read about it in the New York Times, it sort of desensitizes you to future fuck-ups. So if the headlines of the newspaper are the worst decision by anyone in New York in 2004 to hire you, that's pretty good. So again, I had to go very, very small to find something that really bothered me. Because I just am out of big shit that went wrong. So you can see, I'm not sure, that font is, I can almost read it from here. I don't know if anyone can read it in the back. But slide 2 is about lack of preparation. And I did want to tell a small joke about that lemon tart, which is actually a very famous dessert. The restaurant's called Osteria Francescana. It's in Modena. I met this chef of Osteria Francescana in 1999, and he worked in the pastry department with me at El Bulli. And he came to visit me in New York while I was being described as the worst decision by anyone in 2004. And we served an inverted and crushed lemon tart that looked eerily similar to the one that he's now become incredibly famous for. So I wouldn't say, I would just say that one man's fuck up is another man's inspiration. So I'm hoping, I guess my real question is whether my lack of preparation today means that I could also be the best chef in the world. It's possible. It's definitely possible. So we're gonna keep doing the double click. Right? Which one is it? No? Lack of preparation, check. Epic fails division. Wrong slide. My slides are out of order. So the beautiful thing about this dessert is it's a version of a dessert that I started making in 2001 at another terrible decision in my life, where we decided to open an incredibly experimental, interactive dining experience about 3 blocks from Ground Zero, about 4 months after September 11th, when there were, I don't know if anyone was in New York then, but there were no customers in New York for 125 blocks. So we epically failed so much that I was thrown under the bus after I even left for the restaurant failing. But the nice thing was, and I did even fuck up my, that's supposed to be a Y, not a U. The theme for this was the don't let the fuck ups get you down. So the first time that we made the pineapple and shortbread dessert, which is the base of whiskey, torture, and turgenev, I served it to my wife, who was interviewing me to see if I'd be a good roommate. After I responded to an ad in the Village Voice. So simultaneously, well, yeah, I'm not even close. I'm like not even a third of the way through. But let's just say staying brave and finding something beautiful and poetic in something that's otherwise would be characterized as an epic fail. I just can't sync all of these things moving around. I still can't get this thing facing the right way. Let's see. Not even close. Does someone want to just prompt me?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Great. So again, I didn't have 8 years, but I did have soft tissue cancer, which was pretty cool, about 8 years ago, which was discovered because I had fucked up by ignoring the mass that was growing in my leg for a couple of years. But the week before I was supposed to move to Bali, I had a deal with my wife that if it didn't feel good, I would get it checked out. So it didn't feel good, and then I got it checked out, and my doctor said, you're probably not going to go to Bali like on Saturday, because our flights were that weekend. So we did take about a year and heal in New York before moving to Bali in 2009. But I do have trouble keeping things in moderation. That's obviously news to anyone who's been with me at the bar after 3 a.m. So about 5 years ago, just to keep it even, I was able to try to work myself back into shape to the point where I ruptured the bottom 4 discs in my back, which is pretty amazing, like to do them all at the same time. It requires a lot of attention. And a lot of fucking up and doing the same stupid mistakes over and over again, which is why I need a table much closer to me than the shorter and younger people that have been here tonight. But the beautiful thing is, while I was out with my ruptured disc and not able to walk, I started reading a lot of Murakami. And that's how I came across the title for this dessert, because Whiskey, Torture, Turgenev is one of the chapters in, I think it's Hard-Boiled Wonderland and the End of the Earth World, one of his great books. So in this case, my fuck up and stubbornness led me on the trail to making something really beautiful. I'd love to talk very, very briefly, and this is actually the motivation for the speech today, because I made a whiskey mousse for this dessert on Saturday morning, and I put it in the freezer in New Zealand in this enormous hotel in a casino. And one of the apprentices that was cleaning up moved it into the chiller, so it totally collapsed and melted. So it looked like total shit when I was putting it on the plate. But it reminded me that I had the great idea to do it in a slightly different way, that it wouldn't have canceled, that it wouldn't have collapsed. But the apprentice that was working with me thought it would do better in a mold. And I had actually yielded to her instincts, which is probably not something I would have done 10 years ago, but having been in Bali for a few years, something I've tried to learn how to do. But I was right, she was wrong. And I should have trusted my instincts. So this was another thing, again, just to show you how small and insignificant the life of a pastry chef is. I chose the wrong plate to put the dessert in. It looked really, really bad because we use a round plate in the restaurant. But we were in the casino going through the plates, and there was an oval plate that I thought would look really nice. But when we were busy in service, I was standing there, so about 48 hours ago, and it just looked absolutely terrible, and there was nothing that I could do about it because I chose the wrong plate. So it really reminded me, because I'm sort of old and out of practice of making things work on the fly, because I have like tons of people that do that for me right now. But it reminded me how important it is to plan carefully so that in the end you can be spontaneous. Yeah, this is really, I'm going to zip through this because I'm over, right? How far over? 2 minutes over?
8 minutes.
8 minutes over.
Go on.
Great.
Go on.
No, it's okay. We'll zip through the last two. This is a version of the last one. We didn't pipe the vanilla ice cream ahead of time. We left it in the container in the freezer and it got too cold. So when we made the dessert, the ice cream wasn't the right texture. And it was really a fuck up. And it really pissed me off and it totally ruined my night 2 days ago. But what it reminded me of was the secret of comedy, right? It's timing. So timing isn't everything, it's the only thing. So at what point in your trajectory you find your fuck ups may not be that relevant, but how you fight your way out of it really is. This is the last slide before I wrap it up. The basic thing that I learned from fucking up for the last week was that I wasn't communicating effectively. So any of the problems that I was having with the desserts or working with new people at the service were really just a matter of just me not being ready to do it in a different way. So I like to have my Cool Hand Luke / Guns N' Roses moment. But for those of you who are Use Your Illusion people, which I think most people here were born after that album was released. But the beautiful thing is that I get to have redemption in real time because you can come to the restaurant and order the dessert and I can make it for you.
On the right plate.
Yes.
On the right plate that we designed and made just for it. So I just want to wrap up very, very quickly. And this is something that I've always felt. If you don't have butterflies in your stomach, you're just not ambitious enough. And if you're not finding yourself fucking up over and over and over again, you're probably doing it wrong.
I don't know. You did well. You did well. Is that pressure? You needed that pressure. Any questions for Will? This is the quietest, most uninquisitive audience I've ever
When is
heard.
the new menu coming?
When is the new menu coming?
The new menu is in development. It's about,
How late is it? Let's ask that
how
question.
late is it?
Yeah. How much have you fucked up this time, Will?
How much have I fucked up this time? Well, how much later than September 15th is it?
I have no idea.
It's a lot later than September 15th, and we're not close. I think it's October 15th. We're still not close, but the food is awesome. It'll be worth the wait.
See you there.
Yes.
Thank you, Ollie.
Best dessert you've ever tasted?
Best dessert you've ever tasted?
Wow, tough one. Okay, I'll keep it simple.
I'll keep it simple. I will say the lemon tart at Milo in Paris, where I used to work in '98. Still the best.
Okay, we got one question at the back. Choco balls? She said the best dessert she has ever tasted in her life is Choco Bubbles at Room for Dessert.
We have Choco Bubbles version like 18.4 on the menu right now, and it's coming back in a new and yet old, familiar, interesting yet obvious way.
Yeah!